This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome to the western fringes of the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park. We are sitting in the northeastern corner of South Africa where the sun is doing its best to shine through a thick blanket of cloud that has been overhead the whole day. Rain is predicted. My name is James Henry. On camera is David, and we are looking at a fork-tailed drongo. Please do talk to us for the first 45 minutes. Questions dedicated to children or kids or young people from the ages of 0 to 18, because of course a 17 or 18-year-old or even 13-year-old is not really a kid anymore. And you can send your questions to kidsquestions at wildearth.tv. Kidsquestions at wildearth.tv. If you're older than that and you want to have your question answered, well, I guess you could pretend to be a kid and send them through to the same email address, but we'd rather you didn't do that. Good. Now, our plan this afternoon is to try and follow up on the leopards that were around here this morning. Tingana, the male leopard. There was also some Impala alarm calling and vulture activity in this area. There are a couple of francolins shouting now. So, I don't know, maybe we'll be lucky with a leopard in the long grass today. Maybe we'll be lucky to have a leopard in some short grass. That is our general plan for this afternoon, but as always, the bush normally makes its plans and gives you what it wants to give you. Hello, Joshua in India. No, there are no tigers in Africa at all, so we don't have any tigers here. There are a few black leopards, though, not in this area, as far as we're aware. You do get a few in South Africa, but probably far fewer than you get in India, for example. So you'll get black leopards. Black panther is just a leopard that is what we call melanistic. It's got more melanin in it, and so it looks black, and if you see it in the light, you can actually see the spots. But they are more suited to jungle or forested habitats, and so you'd find them in India. You'd also find them probably in the central parts of Africa. Well, this is around where we heard the angry francolins. So we'll just do a little bit of a look through here. Maybe there's an animal on the road, or at this little water hole. Now we're going to go back up to Ngala, andBeyond Ngala is what it's called. It's about 40 kilometers north of us, and Rowan is ready to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to andBeyond Ngala. My name is Rowan, and then behind the camera I've got Marcel, as always, and we are currently searching for a hyena den. So on the right here we've got quite a nice termite mound, Big Scotia. We're trying to drive slowly as not to get Marcel caught in too many branches, although quite like hearing a groan every now and then. Oops, might lose a bit of equipment here. Yeah, very nice to have the kids on board with us this afternoon. Please send through any comments or questions, whatever you might like to know. A big tree, I think you might hear quite a big bump soon. No. Well, okay, so this morning, Yapi and Nikki had one female and two youngsters that they sat with for quite a while. So we've been thinking the hyenas are denning in this area, but we've not really been too certain. So what we're looking for now, I think we found the den actually, is any hole that you might bring them out of. For now, no hyenas, but I think it's right here. So disused termite mound. So apparently, yeah, two youngsters, maybe 3 to 4 months old. I've not seen them yet, but Yapi and Nikki found them this morning. So it's actually quite exciting to have another den. So not as young as the youngsters at Djuma, but also just as cute. They'll be a bit more fluffy, spotty, more coloration. At 3 to 4 months, they won't have the black bear-like look about them anymore. So while we just have a quick look around here, see if anything's sleeping, maybe in the grass or so, I'm going to send you to Lauren, who also just wants to welcome you with a woodland kingfisher.
Good afternoon, everyone, and of course, big warm welcome to your sunset safari of today. Hopefully, we shall actually get to see a sunset today, as it's been a rather cloudy, muggy afternoon. We have a woodland kingfisher here, or we did have a woodland kingfisher, but it's flown off, so now you get to see my face. My name is Lauren, and Owen is on camera today. And of course, I think James has already told you, we had Mr. Tungana this morning, which was very exciting. We got to spend some time with the Duke. It wasn't a lot of time, to be perfectly honest with you, but we got to spend some time with them. We lost them at the end. It was very confusing, but piecing together the morning's events, I think Tungana heard the Impala alarming at something else and went to investigate, because it could potentially be his daughter, Kalamba. And he probably thought, ooh, if Kalamba's around, maybe I can score a free meal. So that's my theory. So good luck, James. I hope you get some leopard action this afternoon. We're going to spend a little bit of time in the south. I really feel we're long overdue a sighting with our queen, Tandy. And she spends a lot of time in the southern eastern corner. So I'm going to check on that lion kill first, and then hopefully there'll be some hyenas. I want some hyena action, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time checking the south to see if there's any tracks or just general signs of anybody. Oh, looks like James is on fire today, and he has found a glorious antelope for you all.
Not anymore. Ah, there's another one. Same one. Well spotted. There is a kudu. It heard that it was going to be on air and it tried to escape. But it couldn't escape David. He found it. And there it is. A kudu cow. Hello, Jayat, who is 10 years old in India. You're wondering if we have duck or reedbuck here in South Africa. We do have them in South Africa. We don't have them in this particular area. So reedbuck you'd find in wetter areas. You do find them in the Sabi Sand sometimes. So further off down towards the south near the rivers. I'm just going to check. You get duck in southwestern Africa, so in Namibia. But I don't know if we find them up here. I don't think we do. No, none in South Africa. So in Namibia, we'll get duck, and then reedbuck you will find in kind of areas like this, but they need to be a bit wetter. They like what we call a flay, which is a sort of inundated, which means very wet grassland type of a place. So some parts of the Sabi Sands where we are like that, but not on the area that we drive on. And then you also get something else called a mountain reedbuck, which you obviously don't find here. You find in the mountains. There is another kudu. Oh, Nicholas, from your lips to the universe and into our eyes. I would love to see an elephant today, Nicholas, and I'll do my best to find you one. That is a red-billed oxpecker that we're looking at now. And the red-billed oxpecker is tickling the kudu's back. And in return, the kudu looks wonderful. In return, the kudu is giving him ticks to eat. Doesn't he look like he's having the best time? I think it must be quite nice being an oxpecker, as long as you like eating ticks. Basically, you can fly, and then you can go riding on any animal you want, except an elephant or a cat. Good, let's move on. Kudus, of course, are browsers, so they are eating leaves off trees. Rowan has had some success with a predator already, and I'm very excited for you to meet them. Ah.
So we left the den only to find what we think might be the mommy going back. So now we're going to watch her disappear into the bush, then turn around and go back to the den. From her walking past, you can see her teats hanging, so she looks like she's lactating. Like she has milk there available. So I think let me quickly go a little bit forward, find a spot to turn around, and then go to the den and see if the youngsters come out to greet her. This should be fun. Yeah, she's walking straight to where we just came from. You would have noticed there's a very large tree on top of the termite mound. It's called a scotia or weeping boerbean, and that is exactly where she's going to. Of course, she's following a much more direct path than we can follow. Love it when things like this happen. Ariane from the UK has asked, why do hyenas run so fast? Ariane, I think it is just for their survival that they have to be able to run so fast to catch their own dinner and lunch and breakfast. So it helps being fast out in the bush, unlike Marcel and I, who will not be able to outrun anything out here, not even a crocodile. Although Marcel has a size 14 shoe, so he might just step on the crocodile. Here we go again, back into the bundus. It's quite a slow and tortuous track with all the trees growing over it. So Daniel, who's only age 9, has asked how many hyena packs we have on Ngala. So Daniel, we are uncertain. Because it's an unfenced property, we know about 6, but it might be more, it might actually be 7. So I can't give you a straight answer for that. And just by the way, Daniel, the collective noun for a group of hyenas would be a clan, not a pack like dogs would be, even though there are dog lights. So here's the mommy again. We have caught up with her. Ooh, that's quite nice, isn't it? She looks like she's been rolling or sitting in mud for a while. I'm not going to rush her to her den. I think it's a good idea if she just moves slowly, check the surrounding areas, make sure everything is safe. I'm sure the youngsters will come to her as she gets there. So she's just checking out if there's any cause for alarm here. Because of course the babies, the cubs, are a lot safer in the termite mound than they are out of it. So when she does go there, they'll come out of the termite mound, out of their safety, to come greet her and maybe have a bit of milk. Okay, so while we follow her, it seems Lawrence found a male lion. We're going to send you back over to Djuma.
Well, I didn't really find a male lion because our lions have barely moved. I actually can't tell if this is Mohawk or Blondie, but it's one of them. And they're still in the exact same position that we left them last night. And the smell is 10 times worse, maybe even 100 times worse, to be exact. He is sleeping right next to the carcass of the wildebeest. And I have to say, I've seen lions sit on a carcass for a long time, but this is a particularly long time for a wildebeest carcass. Now, buffalo, giraffe, even zebra are much bigger animals, and the lions tend to sit on it a little longer, but I'm really surprised, that the avokas are still here, or at least one of them is. This is the only view we have, ladies and gentlemen. Lapel? You're 10 years old in Cape Town? You are asking if an adult male lion loses its adult tooth would it grow back? Unfortunately not. Just like us, we have essentially two sets of teeth. You have your baby teeth that fall out, your milk teeth, and then your adult teeth grow in. And if we lose one of our teeth, it doesn't grow back. And it's exactly the same for lions. Even if they snap one, their big sharp teeth, they wouldn't be able to grow and repair itself, I'm afraid. So no, they wouldn't be able to regrow a tooth. But luckily their teeth are designed to be very, very strong and very sharp because they need to tear into flesh. And I'm going to show you something very interesting, if you just bear with me. Predators in the order Carnivora. Now, Carnivora is all the animals that, of course, are carnivores. And there's different types of carnivores. They're not all at the same level. But Owen, I'm just going to show everyone something. Hopefully the light will allow. All carnivores will have something called a carnassial shear. And what that means, we can just look closely here, is that there's two molars positioned differently on the upper jaw than the lower jaw. You can see the blue is the upper, the red is the lower. And if you just look carefully at this red one, you can see it's actually got quite a diagonal slant, and it fits in nicely to the one above, and this creates a slicing action. So it's called the carnassial shear, and it's made up of two different molars, one on the upper jaw and one on the lower jaw. And what it does, I'll just show you, is it allows the animal to chew from the side. You'll also see predators chewing with the side of their mouth because it's cutting and it's slicing into flesh. So it's really, really important that all the animals in the order Carnivora have that carnassial shear. Now, it's a hot, sticky day, so I imagine our avocas are going to be flat for quite some time. And with 1% visual, or 1 out of 5, as we would say, we may bumble and come back. John Pablo, you're 8 years old from Mexico. Wow. Mexican food is my favorite food in the whole wide world. I could eat it all day, every day for the rest of my life. Well, male lions on average don't live as long as female lions because male lions engage in a lot of battle. They're very aggressive and they sustain a lot more injuries. But on average, it's anywhere between 10 to 14 years old. The maximum, I believe, for a male lion in the wild was 18 years of age. So, of course, there will be some lions that live longer and there will be some lions that don't live as long. But, okay, Owen's just asking me to go back. I think he can get a better view for us. It's anywhere between 10 to 14 on average. Okay. How are we doing with that angle? Oh, we have 0.5% out of 5 visual. Now, there's definitely a lion in there, everyone. I promise. Panting heavily in the heat. But with most of the predators, the females always tend to live longer because they really don't engage in such rough battle like the males do. Males will fight. They'll fight over food and they'll fight over females. I cannot even begin to describe the smell, everyone. Laylee, you're asking, oh, and look at this. I don't know if you're going to be able to get this. Is a lion a mammal? Yes, lions are mammals. So I don't know. No, oh, it's gone. It's gone. Oh, no, it's coming back out again. Oh dear, it's a spider. It's gone one. So yes, when you see an animal that is covered in hair, fur, I've got a perfect view here. I'm going to go forward. You can be safe to bet that it's a mammal. And mammals are named so because they're able to produce milk from their mammary glands. And that's where the name mammal comes from. So yeah. Oh, hello. There we go. That looks a little bit more like a lion, doesn't it? With beautiful blades of grass on your face. Watching us. We can see you. So yes, all mammals, or female mammals, can produce milk for their offspring from their mammary glands, and that's where the name mammal actually comes from. And normally, if you see any animal that's covered in a coat of hair, you can you can take a guess that it's going to be a mammal. So your antelopes, James showed you a kudu, that's a mammal. We have lions here, leopards, Impala, hyenas. All of these animals are mammals, and so are we. Yes, humans are also mammals. We're just not really covered in an entire coat of hair, but we are mammals. Okay, I may leave our mammals to see what else I can find for you all, but it appears that James is on a different category of animals, and he's going to show you a bird.
Here we have got a blacksmith lapwing, which for some reason is not around the water right now. And we've also got 2 Birchall starlings. Now, we have got 3 different kinds of starlings that look almost identical to that one. But this one is distinct in that it has a long tail and it's got a black eye. And that distinguishes it from the greater blue-eared glossy starling and the Cape glossy starling, both of which have got yellow eyes and short tails. The other 2 are almost indistinguishable but for their calls, and unless the sun is shining on them very brightly, in which case you can see the little sort of navy blue patch behind the eye of the ear of the greater blue-eared glossy starling. Now they're all feeding here because this is a firebreak area. All of the grass has been cut in preparation for the fire season. Hello, Juan Pablo in Mexico, wondering about whether the bird on the back of the kudu was directing it. No, Juan Pablo, it was not directing it. What it was doing was eating the ticks, and it just has to go wherever the kudu wants to go. So if the kudu wants to go down to water, then the oxpecker must either fly away or go down to water with him. So the bird doesn't ride him in the same way that you might ride a horse. Have you with So we've had 2 species on the road here. We've had the Birchall starling, the lapwing, and now I saw something on the left here. There it is. It's flying away. It was a ground scraper thrush, and I think it's going to go and sit on the very top of that tree there. Let me move. Birds feel very vulnerable on the ground when we humans come past, and so often they'll go and sit on the top of a tree like that. Now this won't be the best view because the sky is quite bright behind them, but we'll do what we can. Oh, look at that. Is that not gorgeous? And Ruth and species we find here. They're probably around about 250, but you know, it does vary because you get what we call vagrants. And vagrants will pop in and out. They're birds that visit once and then go away again, and there may be 1 or 2 sightings of them. And I suppose if you were to take the bird lists of everybody who's ever been into this area over the last 100 years, you'd probably come up with a total of around about 300 if you were very lucky. So it's probably around 250. Oops. Not so easy to perch on the thin branch. That was magnificent. Good. Let's go back to some more birds, this time much, much bigger, with Lauren.
We do have birds, not just any birds, but possibly the most patient birds in the bush. They have been waiting on this carcass for a very long time now. This is a pair of hooded vultures. And if you look closely, they actually look like they're wearing a hood. They look like they've got a hoodie on, and they've got the hood up with those sort of brown feathers that cover the head but miss out the face. Now, I imagine there's a lot more vultures in this tree. It's just not so easy to see. So we can see a pair of them preening themselves with their beak. And hooded vultures are smaller than some of the other vultures that we find. And their beak is designed in such a way because they tend to feed on the softer organs of a carcass. So they show preference for eyes or internal organs like intestines. And I know it doesn't sound very pleasant, but if all vulture species were the same, there would be far too much competition. So they all have to be slightly different in order to be successful. And hooded vultures are notorious for hanging around carcasses and being very, very brave, walking up to predators and actually snapping up any tidbits or scraps that are available. So I sometimes really admire the hooded vultures. They're not scared. But of course, if the predator was to chase them, they would run away. So that bill that Owen was just giving you a really good look at is actually small. It's smaller than the beaks of other birds, and it's adapted for probing into small crevices and small little cracks and areas in a carcass. That's what it's designed for. So once the frenzy is over and the predators have left, the hooded vultures can actually come in and scrape off any bits of meat or flesh that remain inside bones or inside the rib cage that is normally too difficult for the predators to get to. So every species of vulture that we find out here has a different shaped beak. Okay, so I just wanted to show you these scavengers. We're going to continue searching the south, and we're going to send you back across to James, who has found something on the ground.
Here we have got a very strange thing to find. It is an eggie. An eggie on the ground, and there is no obvious nest around this eggie. Now, one would expect that if it was a bird such as a thickney, which do lay their eggs on the ground like this, or a crowned plover, it wouldn't be this colour. It would be almost exactly the same colour as the soil around it. And so I can't explain why this is here. I also don't think that this particular eggie came from a bird that's nesting. I really have no explanation for why it's here at all. Unless the bird was just desperate to lay an egg and wanted to carry on going wherever it was going, laid the egg and carried on going.
Easter egg, maybe.
Quite possibly an Easter egg, yes. Maybe this egg was left here by the Easter bunny, and it is in fact a chocolate egg. Do you think I should try it? Shall I bite into it and see if it's made of chocolate? I'm not going to do that. Don't worry. Because I'm pretty sure it's not made of chocolate. It might be rotten, in fact, and I'd be covered in rotten egg for the rest of the drive. So I don't know why it's here. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be eaten. It's quite a big egg. It's about the size, I suppose, of a Franklin egg. Maybe it was a Franklin, but a Franklin would normally hide the eggs underneath some bushes. So I don't know. What a strange, bright white eggie to find on the ground there. I'm sure there are some ornithologists who would be able to tell us exactly which eggie that was, but I can't tell you, I'm afraid. I'm no eggie expert. My wife in the final control room says into my ear that it looks like a white egg from Woolworths. I don't think it is. I think it's from the cloaca of a bird. The cloaca, for those of you who don't know, is the organ through which a bird lays its eggs. It's also its bottom. Seth, I've seen ostriches only once on Djuma itself, and that was right here. They were on this road. It's not ideal habitat. They like more open areas, and so you'll find them further to the east and to the south. You might find them in the southern areas of Ngala. They really don't like this woodland because they're tall. They find it difficult to run in woodland like this, and therefore they are very vulnerable. Let's just look at that great big pile of poo over there. Now that is the pile of poo that comes from a buffalo, and you can see it is a mush. But what you can also see is it's covered in flies, and it is a warning. If you ever are walking in the bush and you see a great big pile of dung like that, you must make sure that you look carefully around so as to check whether or not the depositor of the dung is close by and ready to horn you or not. In this particular case, I don't think he is around, and I'll show you why. Now, that's not a problem, because it's not my audio. How about now, David? Better? If I go like that? Okay. You can tell whether this buffalo's gone before by how hard the crust is on top. And you can touch, as I say, herbivore dung, but don't ever touch the scat of a carnivore because it's poisonous and it's disgusting. This is just grass. And this has got quite a hard crust on the top of it, which means it's been sat in the sun for quite some time. And there are lots of insects on it. You saw the flies. There are a couple of beetles, one or two other kinds of things that I can't identify. And this pile of dung is now a home, a sort of mobile home that hundreds of different species of insect will then feed on, lay their eggs in, and then some of them will die, some of them will move on. But it's why we have to be very careful not to drive over those big piles of dung and to leave them be. But it's quite nice because, you know, as I've said to you, for a long time there were no buffalo on this reserve, and to find a big pile of buffalo dung like that's very encouraging because it says maybe the buffalo are coming back. Many of you are complimenting me on my socks. Let me just quickly show them to you because they are very important socks in my life. There we are. These were given to me on the eve of my wedding by my good wife, who said, "These are in case you get cold feet." They are to remind me that I did not get cold feet. Let us now go to Lauren, who has left her lazy cat and is with a beautiful insect.
Oh my goodness. I have lost comms again, but apparently we're live. So hi everyone. We have a butterfly here. One of my favorite animals to look at. It's not all about the big animals, it's also about the small animals. Now we don't have the best view of this butterfly, but I think it could be a common diadem. And once summer ends here, which is coming soon I'm afraid, the butterflies will disappear. They have very short life cycles as adults, and unfortunately, once winter comes, they all disappear, and we have to wait for summer to come around again before we're graced with their presence. Now, if I'm correct in saying that this is a common diadem, they're fascinating butterflies because they actually, well, the females, not the males, sorry, the females only, are trying to mimic the African monarch, one of the famous butterflies out here. So their pattern and coloration is designed to mimic another species. And why do they do this? Well, it's quite a phenomenon. And what they're trying to do is have a survival strategy because the African monarchs are actually not palatable, which means that predators can't eat them because they're toxic. So if the common diadem pretends to be a toxic species, then maybe the predators will not eat them. But the diadems are actually not toxic, so essentially they're telling a lie. They're pretending to be something they're not. And I'm just going to quickly show you, if Owen doesn't mind just coming over here. Just these ones here. You can see this is the African monarch. And the form of mimicry is called Batesian mimicry. But if you look underneath, this is a diadem. Do you see how they're trying to copy one another? There are differences, but essentially, if this butterfly was to flutter by, you would probably get confused. The diadem, this one, is trying to copy the monarch. The monarch is toxic and not palatable, but the diadem actually isn't toxic and it is palatable. It's just pretending to be otherwise. Mimicry is quite a fascinating thing in the animal kingdom. It happens all throughout the animal kingdom, including the ocean. Now I wonder if we can find this butterfly. Is it still there, Owen? Yes, perfect. I think it's a diadem. It's difficult to see because what we're looking at is the underside of the wings. And with butterflies, normally the top side is different from the underside. So sometimes you've got to get a really good look at the butterfly before you can identify it. And the adult phase is what you're looking at right now. It's designed to reproduce. Many butterflies actually... Many animals, eat butterflies. Birds, you'll find a lot of birds eat butterflies. You will also find that if they get trapped in spiders' webs, spiders will also eat butterflies. There's some reptiles, large monitor lizards will snap up a butterfly as a little snack. And snakes. I've seen records of snakes also snapping up a butterfly if it's available. But when it comes to actively hunting them, I would say mostly birds. Now, I just saw that one. Owen and I have been sitting here trying to identify a really large, looks like butterfly, but it might not be. But it just won't stay still. We can't get it for you. We'll keep trying though. Don't give up. Nature will deliver. Now there's a little quarry down here that I always just pop my nose into. Yes, it was the common diadem. Perfect, I got that one right. This is the male though, and not the female. The male and females look completely different. There we go. That's the top side of the wings. See how different it looks from the underside of the wings? And this is a male. The males do not mimic the African monarch, only the females do. Isn't that gorgeous? You can see the antenna. They're long, they're thin, and they're club-like at the end. That tells you straight away that it's a butterfly and not a moth. Nice one, Owen. Isn't that gorgeous? This is a boy common diadem. Now, black and white are not really colours. They're said to be shades. Not true colours, and it's quite rare to see black and white things out in the bush. Other than, of course, zebras. So when you see the contrasting shades of a common diadem, they really stand out. Wow, look at the detail. And believe it or not, everyone, butterflies' wings are actually transparent. Yes. They're built from layers and layers of scales made from chitin, which is a protein. And they're all designed in such a way that they create a reflection of light. So over time, it looks like this butterfly's wings is black and white. But actually, they are transparent. Wow. Oh, and this is gorgeous. And off we go. Butterfly sightings never last for too long, I'm afraid. I don't know if Kirsten is talking to me or not, but I think she is. Okay, so I'm going to figure out what is wrong with my earpiece, and we are going to send you across to Rowan, who's driving.
So we've actually had to leave the den. It was quite hilarious to watch. The female went, see a lot of wildebeest and Impala here. I'm just gonna, actually I'll stop like this for myself. The female went past the den, almost just checked in, and then turned around and left again. It's almost like mom just come to check if everything's okay. She switched off the stove and then back to work. Well, in this case, back to a nice, cool, sleepy spot. Basically what some of those wildebeest are doing now, trying to lie down in the shade, right next to a small watering hole. So I see a lot of impalas. From the ones I can see, there's only one male impala in this group. So the rutting season is quite strong at the moment. I'd like it. Often you see these wildebeest roll around to try to get dust all over their bodies. Quite fun to watch. Rowan from London, we've got the same name. I like you. We do have all of the big five on andBeyond Ngala. Absolutely. Got a request from Nicholas, also from England, and he wanted to see elephants. So we are on the lookout for elephants. Actually quite amazing how well they can blend in with the surroundings and camouflage themselves. You can hear an impala rutting behind us, a male. That's why all the impalas now turn around, they're looking in that direction. See all of them facing to just behind us. So we are looking for a very tall, very grey, very heavy animal. See if we can make Nicholas's day. Fingers crossed. Quite nice to see all the impalas bunched in under that piece of shade, and the male just standing in the outskirts. The wildebeest moving off. Maybe time to go feeding. Very nice and stripy animals. Isla from the UK has asked a very interesting question. Which animals are most likely to come close to the car? Isla, from my experience here, it's usually young animals that are more curious than the adults. Wild dog puppies, very, very curious, always come towards the car. Hyena cubs, very curious, always come to the car. Young elephants, often. Lions, not so much funny. And leopards, we often do get them coming quite close to the car. Sometimes they even stalk animals and go underneath the car. Of course, we try our best not for that to happen, not to interfere in nature at all. But yeah, I would say youngsters. Impalas, wildebeest, general grazers, they tend to stay quite a bit away from the car. But your predatory animals most likely come a little bit closer. Very, very, very good question. It's fun. We had I was at a hyena den about 5 years ago, and the cubs were playing around. There were 8 of them just running around everywhere, like various ages. And this one hyena cub just kept inching forward, and then its sibling would, get a little bit closer, and then that one would compete with it and get a little bit closer again. So eventually they got to the tire and they were sniffing around everywhere, and everyone on the vehicle was like, oh, cute, cute, cute. And they started chewing the tire and you can actually hear it. And the one was licking the pole on the side, and then just all of a sudden it went, and you just saw 8 hyenas split off in all different directions, and it popped my tire. So you only have to learn your lesson once, and now I don't allow hyena cubs to chew on my tires anymore. So we try our best to shoo any animals away from the vehicles, just because when they do grow up, you don't want a big male leopard or almost a big hyena or even a fully grown wild dog, jumping on the railing, sniffing inside the car, especially because we don't have doors on the ranger side, and there's also no windows or anything really to protect where my soul is sitting. The shade coming in a little bit now. We've been hearing thunder quite a bit. This should be quite nice. Hope it does rain just a little bit this afternoon to cool down, or tonight rather, after safari of course, just to cool things down a little bit again. Jacob, who's only 6, has asked how fast an impala can run. Jacob, I'm not really too sure about the speed. I can imagine it is probably around 80 or 90 kilometers an hour. Thing is, how long can they keep that up for? You know, Impalas are really very, very fast. But if they do get hunted, and they get hunted by leopard, lion, wild dogs, any predator here really, hyenas, and it's often that their stamina, especially for wild dogs and hyenas, can't keep them going. But I think it's probably between 80 or 90 kilometers an hour, if I had to take a wild guess there. Like all the female and baby impalas are now leaving the male in the back. Okay, so it seems that Kids Drive is over, so everyone else, please get involved. Please send your questions, your comments through #WildEarth on Twitter or @FC on Twitch and YouTube. Now we'd like to hear from all of you. And this impala might, the male, start chasing them now. There we go. Still a little bit too hot to run, in my opinion. Beautiful birch or starling that just went over them. Ooh, sounds like Mr. Henry is bundu bashing. And quite a favorite pastime of mine as well. So for now, we're going to send you over to him and find out where he's going.
I am driving on an old sightings track. Very old sightings track, because this is kind of where I thought those leopards headed off this morning. But, you know, other than an impala looking this way and going, I didn't really have anything to go on, and there are a couple of vultures too. Anyway, so we'll just drive to the end of this little track and see if we don't get lucky. I suppose we could get lucky. There are a whole lot of little birds in the top of that tree there, Dov. Oh, we can start with the blue wags below, much closer by. That was the top one over there. I'm not sure if there are any left. I think they're probably all gone. They're not very good at sitting still, the little ones. No. They seem to have absconded. It's a little bird party with some blue waxbills, some grey-headed sparrows, and one or two other things. Maybe, if we were very lucky, a green-winged pytilia. Thank you, Mimi. You say you love this guy's voice like a BBC announcer. Well, if you know anyone at the BBC, you better tell them that, and I'll give you my phone number and they can get hold of me. Thank you, Mimi. I think that's a compliment. So we're just going to check if these. We're just going to check these marula trees up ahead, and then if there's nothing in them, we shall turn around and go back. It just would be so nice to find a leopard draped across the boughs, her meal sitting there. If you would like to keep this safari going, I know many of you have joined us for the first time in the last week or so. It is obviously all entirely free, but obviously costs a little to keep going, so, well, not so little. So if you would like to support us, you can go to wildearth.tv/support. That's wildearth.tv/support, and you can help us out if you are so able. That would be wonderful. And let me just continue to say that obviously your main contribution to this is your questions and comments, so if you can keep those flowing throughout the course of the afternoon, that would be lovely. #WildEarth on Twitter, otherwise the chat stream on YouTube or on Twitch. So far I see no leopards hanging in the trees. Here's a nice little pan. We'll look for tracks over here. While we look for those tracks, you go off to Lauren and see what she's doing.
We have a little squirrel, a tree squirrel, sitting perfectly on this fallen knob thorn. Let's see if it pops back out again. Yeah, there we go. Because believe it or not, squirrels can alarm. I think it was Owen and I that had alarming squirrels yesterday, and it's quite a vocalization. Let me just turn that radio down if I can find it. And they will alarm for predators.
I think I pushed it by mistake.
Absolutely. However, the predators don't just mean your terrestrial predators such as your lions and your leopards. They will also alarm call for aerial predators and predators on the ground such as snakes. So with squirrels, it's very tricky. And sometimes I do feel that sometimes they argue with one another. And they will just alarm and vocalize at one another. So you get your hopes up that there could be something nearby, but they're just having a squirrely conversation. Excuse me. Yes, our little squirrely disappeared, and it's not alarming, I'm afraid. We talk about this a lot on Drive. You must pay attention to what is going on around you. It's easy to talk nonsense. I think everyone can do that. But you must pay attention. Drive slowly, listen, smell, look. You're 9 years old and you're asking a very tricky question from the UK. And you're asking about dolphins, I think. Is that correct, Owen? Today, but Owen will keep me right. Yes, they are classified as mammals. There's a list of characteristics that you can use when you're trying to decide whether an animal is a mammal or not. And fur is one of them. But, of course, not all animals will tick every single box, I'm afraid. You will always have exceptions to the rule, Lily. Always have exceptions, and yes, dolphins are classified as mammals, you are correct, and they do not have fur. But they will meet other criteria of being a mammal. So every sort of main grouping you have of animals, the most simplest classification is mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and fish, essentially. And yes, they all have a list of criteria, but not every single animal will tick every single box. Are you a fan of dolphins, Lily? I worked a lot with dolphins in the Maldives, actually. Wonderful, wonderful animals. Very inquisitive. But the most inquisitive dolphins I ever got to swim with was in South Africa. I got to swim with a megapod. And a megapod is a pod of dolphins in the thousands. In the thousands and thousands. They did not stop coming. And they termed that a megapod. And that was in South Africa, off the coast of Port of St. John's for the sardine run. A few years ago. I think it was 4 years ago now, actually. Sorry, I'm just checking for any signs that I can pick up on of animals moving. And one benefit to the reserve being very, very quiet right now is that tracks are still, well, you can still see them. Normally on the boundary lines, you'll find the tracks get driven over a lot, but at least because there's not many vehicles, you can see tracks. So as I search the ground to find tracks of anybody, we are going to send you back across to Rowan for an update.
Seems that we are now all searching for tracks. This is actually the Shitalala drainage line or riverbed. Everyone knows. So we have a female leopard here named after this riverbed. Shitsalala is actually a tree, so she's named after that tree. Anyway, she used to leave her cubs here quite often, and I think if we are lucky, we'll just slowly keep looking around, but she might do that again. So Nikki had tracks of her yesterday, way further up north, and the tracks looked like they were coming south. Anushka has asked how long it has taken me to learn to track. Anushka, you kind of learn from experience or learn on the job. And during my time here, I've worked with 4 different trackers, and they've all taught me like different segments of things. At the moment, I work with called Richard Koza, which is probably one of the most mind-blowing people I worked with. He's like reading, it's inexplicable. Often though, when we walk, he'll walk in front, following the tracks, I'll walk behind him, looking around, and then he'll walk, he doesn't say much. So he'll walk, hands behind his back, and then he just draws a line with his foot, saying, okay, there's the track, it's still going this way. And sometimes I spend about up to 3 or 4 minutes looking down at where he's drawn the line, and I still can't see anything. Okay, so while we look for any sign of this female,
We have a leopard. I have no idea who it is. I haven't seen their face yet. We're on the southern boundary, and this leopardess, it's definitely a leopardess, has popped out. I can't believe it. Well spotted, Owen. I don't know who it is yet. There's a saggy tummy. I'm suspecting Tandy, but I really don't know. I really don't know yet. That, you see, yes, very, very saggy, loose tummy, and that's one of the features of Tandy. Hello, beautiful. Yeah, I think it's Tandy. Oh my goodness, everyone. I think I am going to get to introduce you to the Queen of Djuma after all. Owen spotted this one. Okay, Owen, I'm going to go forward. We need to keep up. If it is Tandy, I just want to get a quick look at the face. Pop in this way. This is Torchwood. We cannot cross. Oh, it is Tandy. Hello, my girl. I was hoping to see you. There's lots of people wanting to meet you. Everyone, this is Tandy, the Queen of Djuma. Yes, sometimes she snarls. We see you. We're very used to Tandy doing this. We're just going to sit very still, make no sudden movement, and just let her relax in the shade. Tandy is also 13 years old, same age as Tingana. She's known to be rather grumpy. We all love her. I admire this leopardess so much, but she does have a reputation for being slightly grumpy, and many of you are super excited right now. Me too. I've not seen Tandy in quite some time. Now, there was rumours that she may have given birth. Tandy's got a complicated history. I'm going to get into it. But there was rumours that she may have given birth again. Now, we haven't really been able to say so. But from that saggy tummy, I'm just going to, if Owen can zoom in nice and closely, I think there's suckle marks. Tandy had a litter that James and Tristan both found together, and it appeared she sadly lost them. There was 2 cubs. And from what we can gather, she got pregnant again pretty quickly. And it seems that she may have given birth. We have just not had a chance to even investigate where those cubs might be, because we've not had any time with Tandy. She's a very elusive cat, and let's just say she gives you the slip We have a phrase here that we use on Safari Live for those of you who are new, that Tandy will give you the Tandy slip. And what that means is when she wants to, she'll just get up, walk away, and you'll never be able to find her. See how petite she is. I've spent the morning with Tingana, and she's so petite. She's smaller, she's slimmer. Compared to him, he's boisterous and bulky and chunky. Now, Tandy has mated with Tingana many times, and she is the mother of Princess Tlalamba, who we spent 2 sightings with last week. Much older leopardess, but an absolutely fantastic one. And slowly but surely I'm going to dive into her history, but I just want to keep up with her for now, because once she veers off on either side of this boundary line, I can't follow, I'm afraid. Owen, are you ready? Ah, the leopards are just showing themselves these days. Jenny, you're asking why we can't cross into other properties. Okay, so this property on my right south is Chitwa, and it's a beautiful property. I absolutely love traversing Chitwa, and normally we actually can traverse Chitwa. We go there, we've got traversing rights. However, due to lockdown rules, we're not traversing on other properties right now due to what's going on in the world. We are in lockdown here, believe it or not, and just sticking to traversing on our own property at the moment. But we are allowed to drive the boundary lines. I'm just going to pull up here. Now, I'm going through a little bit of a signal dip, I'm afraid. I'll come back to your question, Jenny. Okay, that's fine for now. So the property on my left is Torchwood, and we don't have traversing rights. Okay. The signal is not okay. We are going to send you to James for now and try and keep up with Miss Tandy.
The leopard queen of Africa strikes once again. Nicholas, aged 11. Well, I'm quite sure you're satisfied with Tandy the leopardess. Here is your elephant, courtesy of moi. You can't find a cat for love nor money, but an elephant we have got. Magnificent elephant with a tiny baby, and the tiny little baby is sitting there on the termite mound, as you can see. Tiny little thing. How exciting is that? Tandy with suckle marks. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like she's going to hang around on Djuma, but maybe she'll turn back and turn up into Djuma. Kirsten just saying not 100% confirmed suckle marks. Well, the only way you can confirm suckle marks is when you see a cub attached to them. This mama elephant will definitely have suckle marks because she's got a little calf with her. We found them because we heard what we thought was a growl and thought, hey, now here we go, cat. And no, it was an elephant shouting at another elephant. There's a lovely atmosphere around at the moment because it looks like there's a big storm blowing in, and so although there's lovely blue sky and sunshine, there's an air of expectation because of the big grey clouds overhead. And whether or not they will storm on us, we're not sure, but it is exciting. Francesca, sometimes we do expeditions that people can go on. Some of us take private safaris, and you can find the details to those on our personal websites. So on mine's jameshenry.co.za, and you can find details there. We're going to put up a few more in the next little while. Then WildEarth does a few expeditions. There are none open at the moment, I don't think. I think they've all been booked out for this year, which various WildEarth guides will accompany you on. Yeah, so we do. Lots of the guys who worked for WildEarth take private safaris. Tristan Dix takes private safaris. and I'm pretty sure that you could convince any one of the guides here to take you on a private safari if you so desired. And we'll pretty much go anywhere you want to go, really. Right, as I absolutely knew beyond the shadow of a doubt, Rowan has managed to deliver yet another big cat at Ngala.
Of course, we found lions. It's the young lioness. It's actually quite funny. She's further east of where we think her den is. Although, I mean, for her, she's able to survey the entire riverbed from where she is. And of course, her having such excellent hearing and sense of smell that nothing can really sneak up on her. And her lying down actually further away from the den. It's probably a good idea because then it doesn't attract too much attention to that side either. So yeah, she had her head up for quite some time. Now it looks like she's going to sleep, resting. So we just wanted to come check here before the rain actually settles in. You can hear thunder every now and then. And the temperature's dipped quite a bit, which is nice. Not as hot and humid as it was a little bit earlier. Also, we had a herd of elephants that moved through the riverbed. You can actually hear them, or we could hear them on the tree line just before we came to check this area. So we're kind of waiting. Hopefully they go a little bit further south and through a big open clearing. I'm very excited to see what will happen once these youngsters come out. But while she's sleeping, we're going to link you back to Lauren. Seems like she has stole with the leopard.
I've just got the tail end of our queen, everyone. Tandy is walking off into Torchwood. Oh, I'm so sad. And to finish what Jenny was asking, and we don't have traversing rights for Torchwood. It's almost like rent. You have to pay to traverse other properties, and we only traverse Djuma, our property, and Chitwa. But right now, because of what's going on in the world, sadly, we're not doing Chitwa. But this property that she has actually entered into, to the east of Djuma, is Torchwood. Oh, Tandy. I think I might roll forward. I'm not going to turn on my engine on. I'm just going to go very slowly and see if I can roll. I'm sorry, everyone. At least we got the briefest visuals of our queen. She's completely disappeared in that long grass. Well, as sad as I am, at least we got to see her. That belly is extra saggy, and it does look like there's potential suckle marks, I have to say. So it's positive news all round. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. But I am just going to cruise this area. We don't have good signal. I'm just going to cruise it quickly and then come back. And I'll dive deep into Tandy's history later. So as I do this, we are going to send you all the way to andBeyond Ngala, to Rowan, see what he's up to.
Well, our lioness has still not moved. She's picked her head up. She's awake. She's looking at us. Beautiful face. But she looks like she might just plonk over again soon, as lions do majority of the day. Quite a big head, isn't it? Very big shoulders. So you can see this gene coming through the entire pride. Yeah, now she heard something different. Again, looking at us. Stunning white lines just below the eyes. Just lighting it up. Very pink on the nose still. Showing signs this is still a young cat. I wonder if she knows she missed out on a wildebeest for breakfast this morning. But luckily, I think she got enough off that buffalo carcass the other day to sustain her for quite a while. Otherwise, she'll be hunting for herself around this riverbed every now and then. if the pride's not close by with a carcass. It looks super peaceful. Jacob, who's only 5, wants to know if I've ever seen a lion kill before from start to end. Jacob, I have been fortunate enough to do so, absolutely. We had a pride that killed 3 buffaloes in the space of 10 minutes, and I got to watch all of that. I've seen lions take down a wildebeest, a warthog. They dug it out of the ground. Actually quite interesting behavior. So warthog, what they do when they go to bed is they'll reverse into their hole, so the tusks, their weapons, face outwards. And so what these lionesses did is they would dig at the entrance of the hole, and so a bit of sand would go in, and the warthog, of course, comes rushing out trying to scare them away. And yeah, this lioness, one of the older Birmingham lionesses, just grabbed it. It is a sound that I will never forget in my life. Jacob, not very pleasant, but yeah, it was quite the experience. Oh, she looks tired. Don't think we're going to spend too much time here. Could still be a number of weeks before we see her cubs, before she starts bringing them out into the sun. You never know. Definitely something to look forward to. Come on. Okay, we're going to connect to James. He's got a few elephants, and then Marcel and I will make our way out of here.
Here we are with our elephant. We've got a cow here, a baby calf, and a whole lot of other calves, at least cows and their calves, just through this little riverbed here. I'll try and get across eventually. We'll just see what they do. And I can hear thunder going, which of course is what thunder does. Luke, are they? The cutest animals you say are the most dangerous. Well, I mean, I think the cutest animal in the world is a lion cub. It's not very dangerous. The second most cute animal out here is probably a leopard cub, also not very dangerous. And the third cutest animal out here is probably an elephant calf. They're also not very dangerous. The fourth cutest animal out here is probably either a rhino baby or a hippo baby. They're not very dangerous. So I think that the cutest animals are not the most dangerous ones. I think that the mothers of the cutest animals out here could be the most potentially dangerous ones because they're very protective. A lioness who thinks that her cubs are in danger is very protective, as is an elephant cow and a leopard mother and a hippo mother and a rhino mother. And so that's how it works, I think. And she's eating what is known as Ziziphus mucronata. That is the very first Latin name of a tree I ever learnt, believe it or not. And I learnt it in KwaZulu-Natal at a place called Fugitive's Drift, which I suspect some of you have probably been to. Magnificent place on the Buffalo River on the Anglo-Zulu battlefields. No elephants there anymore, but plenty of Ziziphus mucronata, or buffalo thorn. See how she's opened her ears out now? She's talking to another elephant just above her. I say talking, she's communicating. I'm not exactly sure how she's doing it, or what she's saying, or what the sentiment of her communication is, but that's what she's doing by lifting her ears out like that. It's always a good idea to remember that elephants talk to each other all the time, and they talk to you too, with their ears and with their trunks. But I don't know if the elephants recognize us. I think that if we spend enough time with them on a day-to-day basis, they probably do. But these elephants move quite widely, right? So they're not always here at Djuma. So, I think on reserves with fences around them, where the animals are the same ones that you see every day, then I'm pretty sure that it's something with the brain of an elephant would almost certainly recognize the guides and the voices of the people because they'd hear them so often. They definitely recognize keepers. So, for example, I spoke to a guy who used to work at an elephant back safari outfit, which has mercifully been cancelled, so don't go on elephant back safaris. But, I met this guy who worked there. He was a river bushman from Botswana, and he said there was no question the elephants knew each and every keeper. They used to rumble in greeting when he arrived in the mornings to feed them. And so, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they could recognize us too in these cars. It's just a question of whether they spend enough time with us to actually know. I think they probably come onto the reserve, they see the vehicles, they know the vehicles because they've seen the vehicles before, but do they recognize my voice? Well, I think it really depends on how much time they've spent here. It's got a nice picture of the elephants with the sky behind them. Jayat, an elephant's tusks are made of ivory, which is pretty much the same as your teeth are made of. So it's just a kind of ivory enamel. So it's like an enormous big tooth, like you've got, just a lot bigger. Well, I hope you don't have teeth the size of tusks. You must look very odd if you do. And they're actually the two front teeth, so they're the incisors. Oh, Noah, that's a complicated question. Elephants are killed for their tusks because the poachers want to sell their ivory, or they want to sell their tusks. Now, you might then say, well, then the poachers are nasty, horrible people. And sometimes they are. But, a lot of the time, it's not them that actually uses the ivory. They sell it to people because they're desperate for food and they really need to feed their families, and if they had a choice of getting another job, they'd probably do that job. And so it's a complicated topic as to why they kill them. They kill them mainly for their tusks and to make a living, and it's a very sad story, isn't it? It's a complicated story, Noah, and I'm glad that you're thinking about it so early on in your life. This little guy is great because he's not worried about us at all. So he's just coming to have a little taste of that sickle bush. And he's decided it doesn't taste very nice. It doesn't taste like chocolates. And so he's going to move off. That bird you can hear. It's the southern black tit. The light is just gorgeous now as the storm rolls in. There are thunderheads all over the western horizon. Sometimes it does this and it doesn't rain. Sometimes it does this and we feel like we have to swim home. I must say I'm very content spending my afternoon with a herd of elephants. That flapping sound you can hear is their ears against the skin of the body. Tail hitting a bush. The ubiquitous Cape turtle dove. If you listen very carefully, you might just hear the buzzing call of the golden-breasted boontang or bunting. And the thunder. My favourite sound here is the sound of an elephant sighing, blowing air heavily out of its trunk, and then flapping the ear. I think let's try and move a bit closer because our view is not the best from over here. Just try and drive around them a little bit so that we don't drive up their backsides, as it were. Oh, there we go. Alright, we've got a nice view of our elephants now, but I believe that Lauren is providing a nice view of herself, probably trying desperately to see the last of Tandy.
Well,
Any luck?
oh, the game drive radio's gone off.
No.
We've came round, sorry.
Can't find any tracks on
Oh,
any
it's
of
just
these
down
roads.
here. Someone's alarm calling.
Okay.
But we're not going to hear it with the game drive radio going off. So I'm actually standing on the bonnet. I know it looks bizarre, but like I mentioned, you've got to stop, you've got to listen, and you've got to look. This gives me the advantage of height. I don't hear alarm calling anymore, though. I don't think that could be Tandy, though, because Tandy crossed in further south, but someone's upset, and unfortunately, it's on Torchwood, so I'm not able. So I just decided to have a little stand on the bonnet to see if we could see who the culprit was. Who's upset and why? I never used to turn my car off as much as I do now, but I do it a lot throughout the drive. Turn off, listen. Turn off, listen. It's always worth it. And can you see those heavy, dubious clouds off in the distance there? Oh, something's rolling in. Hope we don't get rained on because we're on the Mahindra. We've got no roof. Okay, how about we drive really slowly up this way? Tandy is in this property. We've came round, so we're on the other side of it now. But somebody's upset here. So what I'm going to do is just really, really slowly drive in case there's a leopard here. And while I do that, we are going to send you back across to James and his elephants.
Here we are with our elephants. And just above the elephants to the left there, David, in the left-hand corner of your screen is a punk bird sitting on a tree watching the elephants from the other side. You see him there? That's the one. He's just there, right there. You got him. Naturally. That was a crested barbet, aka the punk. No, Josh, an elephant is not related to an elephant seal very closely. Elephant seals are called elephant seals because they're enormous seals. And so, no, they're not closely related to elephants. So, you'll find a lot of things in nature are either referred to as giant or elephant. And that's just because elephants are so big. So, if something is big in nature, sometimes it's described as having elephantine characteristics, if you like. Oh, we were talking about these starlings a little bit earlier, and I told you about the Burchell starlings, and the greater blue-eared glossy starlings, and the Cape glossy starlings. And there are some Cape glossy starlings. Very common bird in South Africa, but very beautiful nonetheless. And you can hear them going. Oh, that's a good question. Yanks in Rwanda. Which species I think are most affected by human voices? I can tell you the ones that I have experienced as being most affected by them. Elephants, definitely one. You can drive in, make quite a big noise with the vehicle, but if the guide comes in and it's got a loud voice, often they'll look up and start to get uneasy. So I always drop my voice when I'm around elephants. Leopards, for sure. Tandy's mother, whose name was Karula, often used to be totally relaxed in a sighting until someone drove in shouting loudly or talking too loudly, and then she could become very nasty indeed. And in fact, Tandy herself always keep my voice very, very low in a Tandy sighting, because she can get pretty nasty as well if she is disturbed. And I think that human voices disturb her far more than vehicles and the noisy vehicles. And apparently she was quite snarly now. She's quite a snarly cat normally. If you keep your distance and you talk very quietly, sometimes, she'll stop snarling, but not always. So I think leopards and elephants. Lions, I think lions really don't care at all about anything except themselves and the next meal they're going to get. I don't think they worry about our human voices at all. Hyenas, the hyena listens. Ribbon, if you start talking loudly, she'll lift her head and look, but not in the same way that a leopard or an elephant will. Some leopards don't react at all to human voices. And then I suppose something like a rhino. If you're stalking a rhino on foot and you've managed to get within a couple of, maybe sort of 20 or 30 meters, they can't see, right? So they can see, but very poorly. So they've got acute hearing. And if they hear the sound of a human voice, they perceive the human being as a huge threat. If they hear a human voice in close proximity, they'll react immediately. It won't be just a look to see. They'll panic. And so, rhino probably as well. Most of these animals, though, will get used to the sound of human voices if you spend enough time around them. Those lions the other day on the southern boundary, the lionesses, David and I at one stage were parked no more than 5 or 6 meters from one of them because, she just wouldn't move and we needed to get past. And there was absolutely no reaction from her to the sound of the vehicle, to the sound of my voice, to anything at all. So, they really don't care. And that's just because they're used to us. If you see a lion that's never seen a human being before, you'll struggle to see that line because it'll disappear so fast. I felt the first spot of rain on my back. Do you feel anything, David? David didn't feel anything. There's something very delicious underneath this bush that the elephant's trying to eat. I suspect it's bits of fresh stalk that particular bush is sprouting. Very nice. We're now going to go back up to the north where I think the storm is coming from, and apparently it's very dark, but there's some zebras there. Have a look at.
And this storm is definitely coming. So in front of us on the road, we wanted to check the clearing just to the other side of them. Then we were met with a bit of a traffic jam in the form of zebra. Very swishy tails. Our stripy little friends. In South African, so I know a lot of South Africans call them pajama donkeys. Which I also used to find quite funny. And then the one time I mentioned that to our trainer, Brian Olver, and he said, don't ever say that again. Kirst calls them prison ponies, which I think is just as good. And we'd probably get the exact same answer from Mr. Brian Olver. So hopefully he's not watching this episode. Anyway, waiting for a few of them to cross. I think about 3 of them have already crossed to the right. This would make them that zebra crossing. Oh, jeez, I hope Brian's not watching this episode. Oh, you can hear the thunder. Just to the west of us, it's already raining. It seems like it might be raining on Hoedspruit. Yeah, the sunset, the clouds, everything building up here is just phenomenal. It feels like there's a big presence of a storm coming. Let's go a little bit closer to the zebra, and then we'll also give you a good view of all the clouds and the colors and the mixtures of everything. And finally go into this clearing to see if there's anything there. Whew, I think we might get a bit of rain. That's fun. We like rain. Rain's needed. Rain is good. It's amazing how long the grass is that actually even the zebra disappear in that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for now. Well, so I'll show you the sunset in a bit. That is phenomenal. Really very pretty. Now's the perfect time for a gin and tonic. So hopefully the views, you've poured yourself a gin and tonic. Those of you who've just woken up, I won't judge. Comes a male Impala. What an eerie sound, what a weird sound. That gargling noise. You would never think that came from an Impala. We always joke that imagine you were just dropped by yourself in the bush and you heard that at night running past you. Whew, it would be all types of fear coming out of me. There's a baby zebra coming down the road now, following another female. Not quite a baby anymore, but a lot smaller. Droopy ears. I think the mom's made it walk too far today. Actually, another youngster. This one's a bit more spunky. Spring in its step. It's going to sniff where the other one's making a poo. It's no good. No good. Turn around. Yeah, go into the grass. Yes, the other one is also just as cute. Oh, it just went in. Quite dirty. See, they've been rolling around a little bit. And then in the distance there's another zebra. Will slowly make its way here as well. It's a good spot for them to sleep, to spend the night in the more open, clearer areas, the clearings, because it makes it harder for ambush predators, such as the lioness that we saw earlier, or even a leopard to sneak up on them. Seems like this zebra coming down the road looks very pregnant, very, very, very heavily pregnant. Big stomach carrying along with her. I like the one, this youngster, how it's posing on this side. Guys are complimenting Marcel's camera work, and Chris is flabbergasted. She doesn't know why.
It's mediocre at best.
I think Marcel deserves a lot of compliments. Wait till you see him dance, Chris. It's happening in about 10 days. What a beautiful setting. Chris says she's been waiting the whole month. I know, it's been a lot of hard work from our side to try convince Marcel to come for a dance. It seems like a few more of the zebra are coming out from the right again now, wanting to cross the road again. The one in the back slowly coming closer, and then Thunder off to our right. Ooh, lots of people asking what's the purpose of zebra stripes. So it's actually quite a funny. I don't believe people know what the purpose is of a zebra stripe. I know quite a few theories said if zebras stand all together, like in a dazzle, it's hard to tell them apart and predators struggle to hunt them. Yet you often find lions eating zebra or hyena. Another theory was that it might be regulating, well, thermoregulatory, so the black stripes and the white stripes making it hot and colder. But then, of course, they can't really choose how wide their black stripes are on a cold day or how thin they are on a hot day. The other baby, I think, might be coming back now. The most recent study, I think what they did was they pulled a stripy cover over a horse and then a brown cover over another horse. And what seemed to happen is that the stripes confused the flies, and so the stripy covered horse had less flies on it than the brown covered horse. But yeah, if someone knows the clear answer there, trying to go for a drink, no, doesn't like that. No drinking there. I wonder what gave it a fright. It definitely wasn't us. If anyone knows the scientific reason for zebra stripes or any other reason, please feel free to comment on it. But those are the three most basic ones that I've read about and heard. You can hear the whistling behind us. There are two pole-spotted owlets that were just whistling. So Chris is also on the object of flies. That's also what he heard, apparently. Hey Chris, yeah, might agree with you there. That tail's very busy. That tail's keeping flies away, I can tell you that. And you'll see with them, her stomping it there, that's a biting fly. That's her trying to get rid of it. And also, you'll notice her shaking her skin. It's known as a paniculus reflex, basically same thing in horses. And that's also biting flies. So again, you know, it's a theory that could be disputed. I don't think it keeps it away. Maybe the stripes just, yeah, it's less flies than there would be on a normal, trying to bite its leg. Marcel thinks it's a way to look pretty. So when Marcel's going to do his dance, we're going to paint stripes all over his face. Yeah? He's happy with that. Magda from India has asked how to tell the difference between a male and a female zebra. So Magda, what I usually do and use is look at the line underneath the tail. So you'll see the baby has a very thin line, so most likely a male, and then the mom in front of it has quite a thicker black line going underneath the tail, which makes it a female, other than the obvious signs. She's really using the mom, trying to drink from her, using her as a scratching post, having a great time. But yeah, beautiful colors. I mean, they are just stunning animals to look at. Maybe Marcel's right. Maybe it just serves the purpose of looking pretty. Fun afternoon fact from Marcel, I guess. No, no. Catherine just made an awful joke about a zebra crossing. Okay, well done, Catherine. I like awful jokes. I'm all for it. Hopefully Kirst will share it with me a little bit later. And I stole the mamas and the baby just drinking. Oh, that was the joke. A zebra crossing. Okay. That is quite awful, Catherine. Although, you know, the majority of people coming on Game Drive would say that with me. Actually, maybe 4 out of 6 at least would often say, look, it's a zebra crossing. And say, I get it. I'm glad you made it and I didn't make it. Brian Oliver would not be impressed. Notice every now and then zebras the babies get rather aggressive and they'll bump their heads quite hard into the mom's stomach, trying to squeeze out more milk. This one hasn't done it yet, so quite a gentle baby. Probably the favorite for now. I was the favorite in my family. The only boy and the youngest. 2 sisters, but definitely the favorite.
She's, I have no idea why you would have been the favorite.
Kirst doesn't believe me that I'm the favorite, but I can most honestly tell you that I am indeed still the favorite, Kirst. Thank you. But for now, well, we don't need to argue about this. We're going to send you back to Djuma with a hippo.
We have got this ridiculous hippo that lives in the waterhole in front of Djuma, playing with his stick. He's got a great big stick that he likes to play with, and he's playing with it underwater currently. He's going to pop up slightly right of where we last saw him. There's the stick. I've never seen this before. It's the first hippo I've ever seen that plays with a stick. It's most impressive when he's doing it with enthusiasm. Currently, he's not doing it with huge enthusiasm, but let's give him a minute or two. There is the stick, and there is the hippo. He normally does an exceptional display. And the other day we watched him breaching like a whale with it. Apparently, this hippopotamus has been named Dewey the hippo. Why has he been named Dewey the hippo? Apparently he is called Dewey the damn cam hippo. No idea why. There it is. I don't think it matters to him. I don't mind. I don't mind the name Dewey the damn cam hippo. Mobile laptop says Chewy Dewey. Okay, yes, all right. I think I sort of see where you're going with that. There was also a juvenile fish eagle here when I arrived, but I didn't see it in time and I stopped and it flew away. Everyone says he wants to play fetch. Yes, he probably does want to play fetch. I'm just not sure that I am a strong enough swimmer to get in there, wrest the stick away from him and swim away before he'd grab me and chomp me in half. So if it's all the same to you, I'm just going to let him play on his own. He's not being particularly cooperative. Apparently he's got 3 dewlaps and that's why he's called Dewey. Okay. I mean 3 double chins. Are you allowed to call the double chin on a human being a dewlap? I think if you called it a dewlap, it would probably make them sound a lot more distinguished. Now, our grebe is coming back to the nest full of eggies. 4 eggies. She's making a little piping song. Psst. Sounds like a frog. You won't be able to hear this, but the other one's doing it from the other end of the dam. So contact call. That is very cute. Now, if we are lucky enough, we'll see little baby grebes on its back if we wait patiently for these eggies to hatch, and that will be very special indeed. Alright, Dewey's now playing with his stick nicely. That is not a small log. I mean, I don't think that I could pick that up. I suppose it'd be lighter in the water. Let's see if he comes up with it again. I'd love to be able to dive under the water and see what he's doing there. Again, I'm not going to. Especially given the size of the stick. I think he's grossly underestimating anybody who might play with him strength. Kiara, yes, hippos do live in pods normally, and what happens is that they live on their own, like many young mammals, young male mammals, just before they mature. That is ridiculous. So just before they're mature enough to really take a pod for themselves or a territory for themselves, they often live on their own or in small bachelor groups. And this guy is just waiting to achieve full size before he heads off and tries to find himself a couple of wives. I have never seen this. I'd be fascinated to know if anybody else has seen something like this, a hippopotamus that has an obsession with a stick. It reminds me of, well, I guess it's not really the same at all, but it does remind me of the story of that chimpanzee who was very well studied, and she started to wear a grass stalk in her ear. And it's an often cited sort of example of the development of culture, because she started to wear this grass stalk in her ear, then her son did, and then eventually everyone in the troop did. And that was passed on from generation to generation, and the whole troop for generations wore a grass stalk in their ears, like human beings might wear earrings or neckties or whatever it is. And that chimpanzee's name apparently was Julie. Anyway, I'm not sure why it reminded me of that. Maybe I was just waiting to tell you the story. Yes, it does look like that. Like the hippo is trying to be a periscope, or trying to use a periscope, pretend to be a submarine. I think Dewey's lonely. Right, one of the other grebes is coming back towards the nest. Aminta, I think hippos have got more than 4 teeth. All you can see are the 4 canines. So they've got molars for chewing. And all you can see when he opens his mouth are his canines. So those 4 canines would be absolutely useless for chewing grass. They're used for display and for fighting. Now, this grebe looks a lot younger than the first one we were looking at. Unless it's just lost its breeding plumage. Let me consult my bird application. But I don't really understand, because I was pretty sure there were 2 adults in here. So once again, nature confuses me. Seems to happen on an almost daily basis. Rufous neck, pale brown in non-breeding plumage. Is it got a pale brown neck? No, it looks fairly white to me. Non-breeding adult, still definitely not that colour. So I think that's a youngster. Yeah. It might just be, juvenile but old enough to breed, or perhaps, maybe, it belongs to a previous clutch and it's hung around to help with the next clutch, which happens in a number of species of bird and mammal. Let me just check. General habits. Right, Rowan has managed to remain with his zebras, and now he has an orange sky to show you as well.
James, you are quite right. Marcel and I have really not moved too far at all. So we went forward, checked the clearings, and then came back, and all the zebra were on the western side of the road, which we decided to just relax here and enjoy this, because in the back you've got the whole storm boarding up, thunder, lightning every now and then. Then in the foreground, the beautiful black and white with the zebra, the sunset behind them. So yeah, we've just decided to remain here and enjoy this, actually. Yeah. Also, all the birds are calling from around us. There's a beautiful lilac-breasted roller sitting in front of us on the knobthorn tree. I think also just enjoying the sunset as much as we are. A very, very cool backdrop to it with all the clouds. Just sitting on the other side of the road a little bit earlier. Without a doubt, the most photographed bird in Africa. But this setting, the zebra feeding, the sunset behind it. Eddie, where do birds go to die? You never see any dead birds. Eddie, you must come visit us at andBeyond in Ngala. I've found a number of dead birds here. There might be a bird heaven, which they'll probably go to after they die, but we do find their carcasses every now and then. Might be birds being taken out by eagles or jennets or anything like that. But old age, where would an old bird go to die? Maybe they just, die, fall over into the long grass and you just never see them. And I'm now imagining this lilac-breasted roller stiffening up, almost rolling over, and then eventually the grip would give up and it just falls into the grass. What do you think, Marcel?
That's an interesting question.
That's a very interesting question, Eddie. I like that.
Because they're so small, Hyena picks it up, gone.
Don't really think you'll see a lot of bird carcasses because there's so many other predators here around here. Don't know, in the garden, we've always had dogs. So I can imagine the dogs ate all the dead birds around our garden growing up. But very interesting question. I'll definitely discuss it with some of the other rangers tonight. But as I said, around here, it will just be eaten up very quickly. Kirst, what do you think? Oh, one just farted. Not Marcel, the zebra. Oh, it's pooing on its baby as well. It's not a safe place to put your head. Yeah, so Kirst agrees. She also thinks that other animals just find dead birds. Louise, however, says all birds go to heaven. Why is that, Louise? You can fly there? How beautiful is this?
They cross the rainbow bridge.
Wow. They get beamed up, Louis says. Marcel says they cross the rainbow bridge. There's a lot of different theories going on around here. I don't know, I really hope you guys heard the zebra farting a little bit earlier. I mentioned it on a drive a week ago or so, how the way they eat, the way their digestive system works, it releases a lot of gas. So you often hear them farting. It was a dangerous maneuver to drive behind a running zebra. We've tried not to do it. Yes, we've got the most stunning clouds forming around us. Big cumulonimbus clouds, storm clouds coming in. But just this whole scene is amazing. And see how they have almost relaxed with us because we've spent so much time here. We've not really moved around too much. We haven't stepped out of the vehicle at all. And they are just coming closer and closer and closer. Every now and then, heads up, both ears will face our way. But not too disturbed at all. Getting the last bits of grass. Oh, don't know what that one's smelling. He's got his head up in the air, bearing all the teeth. Big grin for the camera. Both the youngsters are still very fluffy on their bums. It's quite nice to see, very young still. If you compare it to the adults, you can see it's very smooth. This female on the right is definitely pregnant. So I think what we'll do is let the zebras be. We're going to find another big open clearing, maybe stop there for a little while, see what's around. For now, going back to Lauren, who's got a male lion eating.
A male lion eating a very disgusting, smelly wildebeest. Now, he just repositioned himself, which means I'm going to reposition myself. Bear with me. Okay. Let me just, I think I can go tighter at one. I think I can do a better job of this parking. My brother always tells me I'm terrible at parking, but I think I can do this. Hold on. Tell me when, Owen. Okay. Now, I still can't tell if this is Blondie or Mohawk. It's one of them. I just have not had a good look at the face yet. Apparently, there was a big fight between the two. I wondered, because the two are very tight. They have a lovely, tender, brotherly bond. And apparently, there was a huge dispute over this wildebeest. And whoever this is here won. And the other is sulking somewhere. We will get a view of the face. We just need to be patient. Come on, boy. You've been very possessive over this wildebeest. But we'll sit and wait it out as long as we can. The weather is changing around us. I'm slightly scared we get rained on. Finlay from Scotland, Bonnie, Scotland. Great to hear from you. You're asking, how loud is a lion's roar? Is it as loud as you? That is a good question. I'm wondering. Potentially you can roar louder, but I'd have to hear you, Finlay. I think the lions would win. I'm really hoping we get some vocalization of this boy at some point. Why? Because he's now separated from his coalition mate, which means once he's finished eating, he will think, oh, where's my buddy? And he'll call. And when a lion roars, it literally vibrates through your entire body. It's a sound that I couldn't even begin to describe until you hear it. So I'm hoping, if we're patient, and patience always pays off in the bush. That's my number one advice for anyone coming out here. Patience. I definitely learned a lot of patience in this job, that's for sure. But a lion's voice box is designed in such a way to project the vocalizations. It's designed that way. They need to be loud. If a coalition of males splits up, which is normal, and they decide to patrol different areas of the territory, remember, lions' territories are huge. They need to be able to contact one another. And how do they do that? They do it by calling, vocalizing. And therefore, they need to be able to hear one another. So it's got to reach great distances. And on average, I think a vocalization can project about 7 kilometers. He's limping. This is Blondie. Yep, I think this is Blondie. He's limping. No, Blondie.
That's Blondie's head.
Sorry, so yes, on average it's around 7 kilometers, but it does depend on the weather. You have to factor in wind, and vocalizations are said to sort of project further on very, very cold, crispy mornings. So you can hear lions from very far away, and that's why when we wake up and we hear lions, I try not to get too excited because I'm well aware that they might not be as close as they sound. So if you are all enjoying our safaris and you're loving jumping on board with us all, because of course we're live, so you are essentially our guests on the back of our vehicles, you are welcome to head over to www.wildearth.tv/support, and you can support us in any way that you wish to. You're not obliged to, but if you do wish, you have options. Just head over to that website. Oh, and I've got perfect views. I feel if I maybe just go forward, you might get a better view. Hold on. Okay, he's just turned his head. How difficult these lions make it for us. Does this make any difference to you? Ah, look at that view. A lion's back. Isn't that wonderful? So as I hope our Blondie here is going to reposition himself, we are going to reposition you guys over to James with a beautiful skyline.
Got a beautiful sky to the north. That's basically the direction of where Rowan is now, and two wildenbeesten enjoying the sunset, and also two impala on the sort of far left-hand side, hoping that nothing is crawling through the grass after them. If they knew anything, they'd know that if I was around, there couldn't possibly be a cat within 100 miles. What a stunning sky. It almost doesn't look real. It looks like one of those museum paintings. My knowledge of art is so appalling that I couldn't possibly give you the name of an artist, but I remember seeing an exhibition once of American art, I think of the 19th century, or maybe 18th century, and it was those sort of vibrant colours in all the skies. For those of you who know about art, your toes are probably curling, your eyes are probably rolling into the back of your heads. But it does look like a painting. I've always found with skies that it's almost impossible to recapture them with a photograph. Let's go back to lion. I think the lion. Let's go back to lion. Lauren is repositioning her carcass.
I'm definitely not repositioning any carcass, I promise. But Blondie here, definitely Blondie. He's limping very, very badly on that back left, very badly. Just stood up as soon as we went off air, of course, and we saw his face and all the lovely bits of food attached to his face. He's uncomfortable. He's lacking movement because of that back leg. He's trying to reposition the carcass. He's not having a great time here. I don't want to move the vehicle just yet, or maybe I can go back a bit. What do you think? I feel like I'm in some terrible Austin Powers movie going back and forward like this. Oh wait, I can roll. Sorry, Owen, I wasn't fast enough. Should I go forward a bit? Oh, I think he's got this carcass stuck. I could be wrong. I'm going to go forward a little bit now. But I think he's stuck somehow. Not himself, but he's got the carcass jammed. He's not completely able to move it. Well, at least we know there's a lion there, and it's definitely a boy. There's no mistaking that. And of course, I'm almost 99.9% sure that it's Blondie. They've been very, very possessive over this carcass. I just wonder where Mohawk is. They rarely stray too far from one another. Oh, Tom, you're asking such a difficult question. Previously, Tom, I would have said lions. Lions stink, I'm sorry. They're wonderful animals. I love everything about them, but they stink. However, Owen and I think it was Owen, we were with Tingana. We were just watching Tingana sleep on a termite mound, the usual, and a hyena rocked up. I can't actually remember what hyena it was. I think it could have been June. And the smell, for the first time in my life, I actually gagged live on air, which probably wasn't pleasant for anyone watching, but it was a natural instinct. I couldn't control it. It was probably the worst smell I have ever smelled in my life. I think Owen was also gagging in the back there. So, it's a tough one. It's a toughie, especially if they've both been at a carcass. I think hyenas. I'm sorry, you all know that hyenas are one of my favourite animals, but they do smell terrible. I love them. It does not put me off them, but they smell awful. Was that thunder, Owen, or am I going crazy? Yes. It's thunder. I am keeping my eye on because I feel that the storm is rolling in, and if we get rained on, we're in trouble because we don't have a roof. But I'll stay out here as long as I can, I promise. And as soon as we get the first indication that rain is coming, we'll dart home. Hopefully we can make it in time before we get fully drenched. Are we ready for rain? Probably not. So hopefully Blondie here repositions himself and we can get a better view of his face rather than his rear end. And as we wait it out before the rain comes, we're going to send you across to Rowan and see what he has for you.
Well, for now, we've got a beautiful view. Seems like the sunset is playing rather well with all the animals this afternoon. Nicholas, I hope you're still watching. Managed to find an elephant. I know James found a few a little bit earlier, but I'm quite happy that we found this bull. Not too old, still looks quite young and small, but what a beautiful and stunning view. Slowly just moving through, sniffing for any type of grass that he might like to eat. Of course, now after a bit of rain, there's still a lot of food left. And they just pour more food and more food and more food into their mouth without actually chewing it. Yeah, you can see it. No, it's sniffing us as well. The breeze is actually picked up and it's blowing from behind us, so it's blowing his scent or our scent onto him. A very peaceful way of walking, isn't it? That is stunning. Big cloud behind him. He's nearly on the road now. As you see a bit of lightning there in the back. I always find it so peaceful sitting with an elephant, just watching them feed. It's like there's really no rush in the world at all for them. Linda, I'm very happy you are enjoying this as much as I am. I also think this is gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Slowly moving out of frame here. I don't think the camera can tilt more to the side. Let me try maneuver. Although there's not too much of that beautiful sunset in the way he's walking. But I'm glad we got to share that with you guys. Hey, how's that? Wonderful. Maybe we should leave the big boy here and continue further east. Yeah, Kurt says we're going to get wet very soon. Kurt, we're going to stick it out till the last minute. We don't want to skip any part of the safari at all. It's proven to be such a beautiful day here. Very eventful if you think of everything we've seen on andBeyond Ngala and Djuma. Really just wonderful, really. But yeah, Once it does start raining, we'll try to get out of it as quickly as possible. For now, not even a drop yet. Guys, so James also has a beautiful sunset. We're going to send you back over to him and leave this elephant be.
Yes, we're still with our beautiful sky shot here. Our wilden beastin have gone away, and I was just sitting here listening to see if I could hear any alarm calls. I thought I heard one shout of distress, not from a human being, from an animal down towards the south of where we are now, so we'll just gently sort of ease our way around there as we watch this massive storm coming in. If anybody is living in Hoedspruit, Acornhoek, Hluvukani, Seville, Slavekisa, any other of the villages between here and Hoedspruit, I suspect right now you will not need to have a shower. Just go outside with some soap and you will be clean in seconds, because I think it is steaming out of the sky. Right, are you all right, David?
All good.
You can go, can you? Your lunchbox is away. Want to just put your lunchbox away there before it falls off the car? David is always hungry. He's eating basically consistently. Apparently my... it's better than I'm not turning around. Alright, there we are. Whew. Okay, on we go. So what we'll do is peel round to the south and go down the western boundary and see what's happening down that away. I'm hopeful that the rain will hold off for another hour or so that we can get back into camp before it smashes us. Bizkit. Hello, Bizkit. That's an interesting Twitter name, and if I didn't have David sitting on the back of this car, I would have said that it was him who had that Twitter handle, because he does love a biscuit, don't you, David?
I do.
Yes. Anyway, biscuit, my favourite animal to go and look for. I know this is going to shock you, given my apparent inability to find one, but a leopard, really. I really like looking for leopards. I know that that's difficult to believe, but I suppose one should attempt to better one's hobby, and if one's hobby is to look for leopards, as awful as one is at doing it, one should still persist. It's like being awful at playing the guitar. You should still carry on. There's no reason to stop if you enjoy it. Kirsten, who's ever encouraging, and I look forward to a long encouragement-filled life with her, says that perhaps I should have a hobby that is looking for birds. Thank you, Kirsten. I shall take your advice to heart, as I do all of the advice you give me at least 40 or 50 times a day. Thank you very much. Sometimes I feel like Basil Fawlty. Now there is just a deathly silence from the final control room. I'm going to be in big trouble when I get home. Right, let's go. While I contemplate the fate that awaits me when I arrive home from drive, let's go to Lauren with her lion.
I actually just realised I've not brought my jacket. This could be one wet, chilly evening if I'm not careful. But I'm sure I'll survive. Blondie here really hasn't moved much. Oh, and let me just see his shoulder blade area. A little bit. Is that flies? Ugh. Not so pleasant. Yuck. But his belly is bulging. And he just keeps feeding. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm surprised there's not more activity around here. There we go. We've seen more of his face than ever. We've got an ear there. There's vultures in the trees. And I'm just surprised there's been no hyena activity. There's been a jackal running around. But there's been no hyena activity, and the smell, hyenas will definitely be able to smell it. And normally when lions are on a kill, hyenas won't come too close, but they'll be in the vicinity. They'll hang around waiting for that perfect moment where they can just dive in and steal or grab whatever they can. I was really, really hoping for some Djuma clan activity, really. I mean, we spend a lot of time with Ribbon, who is amazing, but there's lots of other hyenas that we want to introduce the new viewers to, and of course, our long-standing viewers, we need to catch up with them. And we can't do that until we see them. India, you're 10 years old from Johannesburg. I wonder if you'll get rained on tonight too, India. Hopefully not. When a lion is in his prime, which is generally said to be between 5 to 8 years old, they get a boost in testosterone, and that's when their mane grows very, very thick and very full, slightly longer and darker. Once they sort of get past their prime, and maybe they lose their prides, another coalition comes in, there's a battle, there's a takeover, they can lose condition of their manes. So just like humans, they'll maybe start to lose a little bit of hair. It won't be as full, but they won't lose the mane entirely, no, India. But as they get older, their whole body will lose condition. You can probably tell by looking at their faces, they'll be heavily scarred, chipped teeth, and the manes will lose condition. The manes are in the best state in between the years of 5 to 8 years old. And our Avoca boys, like this blondie here, he belongs to the Avoca coalition. They are 7. They were born in 2013, so they're probably going to turn 8 soon. But they will stay residing over the Nkuhuma Pride and the Talamati Pride until another coalition comes in and battles them and challenges them. Can you hear that? Giving you a moment there to enjoy the sounds that we can hear of the crunching. There can't be much left on that wildebeest now. There can't. I've not seen the carcass, but there really can't be much left. I think Blondie here is really, really making the most of this and eating every single part that he can. See, Wang, I imagine animals absolutely do die of hunger. Every animal, whether you're a mammal or you're a reptilian or you're a fish, needs to eat for energy. And I really believe that animals die from hunger all the time. In this particular reserve, I don't believe we've came across any animals that have died from hunger. We actually had a male lion not too long ago, one of the Mangeni males, which was very, very sad. We found him dead, and it was believed to be some sort of infection that had killed him. And we find antelopes that have died, I'm afraid. Sometimes it's from lack of food, so they end up eating sort of any plant or vegetative matter that has high tannins in it, and tannins can eventually kill animals, especially kudus. We've found a lot of kudus in the past that have died from eating too many well, trees with tannins in them. And I feel the weather really changing here. You're not getting rained on, Owen, are you? Not yet. Okay. And we found an impala the other day that had died from running into a fence, but not necessarily from hunger. Now, animals that do die from hunger, it can actually be the symptom of another cause. For example, if an animal is sick with infection, it may not be able to properly hunt or eat and therefore die of hunger, if that makes sense. If an animal is crippled in any way or injured in any way, it may die in the end from starvation. But it won't, that'll be the sort of symptom of another cause. But good question. I don't believe we came across any animals on this reserve that we know of that have died from starvation. It's getting dark very quickly tonight. It feels quite spooky, shall we say. Lots of cloud cover. I think we're in store for rain tonight, but hopefully it'll be dry by the time we go out tomorrow morning. Talking of darkness, it seems that Mr. Hendry's on the ball and he's already got his spotlight out.
Got my spotlight out, hoping for the shine of leopard eyes, because my hobby is to find leopards. My greatest enjoyment in life is to find leopards. So I shall continue to try and find them, despite the fact that my good wife thinks I should be looking for birds only. The light has faded rather quickly because of the storm, which seems to be burgeoning all around us, from the north and the south. But so far above us, it's remained relatively clear, which is a mercy, I feel. Tammy, I wasn't going to go to Ribbon tonight, but, you know, special requests can certainly be entertained. We're not that far from her, so I'll tell you what, we'll pop in quickly. Yes? Good. We'll pop down this road, which will take us almost into Tandy's, not Tandy, Ribbon's den. I know where Tandy's den is. Ask Lauren, I'm sure she knows. I think that the animals in general are in for a terrifying night, given the wind. So I mean, I don't think this is the sort of night that those cubs are going to be out, but I could be entirely wrong. Let's go and have a look-see. It can do no harm. Can do no harm at all. Go and have a look. What's the name there? Paul whom? Zilla. Paul Zilla, you say your hobby is to make money. My second hobby is also to make money, Paul Zilla, but I'm as good at my second hobby as I am at my first hobby. Yes. Thank you, Paul. I hope that you're more successful with your hobby than I am with mine. Wow. Anybody else want to share their hobby with us? From making money to writing books, playing the guitar, decoupage. Di says I mustn't be bitter. No, I'm not bitter at all. What am I bitter about? I don't think I'm being bitter, am I? About, yeah. Looked like a bit of lion dung there on the road. I don't think it was. It's probably a leaf. Oh, we're not too far from Rabone at this stage. Ah, Caroline, you say photography of wildlife is your hobby. I think that's a great hobby. I think it's the most satisfying thing, that. Chris Rogue, you say zooming on the Djuma Dam cam. Good for you, Chris Rogue. Thank you for what you do for us. Linda Poley works on diamond paintings. That's her hobby. Well, Linda, I'm not entirely sure what that is, but maybe you should send a couple of photographs of the results of your hobby. Sure, diamond. Ramona, your hobby is to make soap. Again, I hope more successful than my hobby. Otherwise, you must be a fairly dirty person. Hopefully, you do better at that than I do at my leopard finding hobby, or my money making hobby. Many people saying that the hobby is watching WildEarth. Well, that's great. It's great to have you along. Marvellous to have you along, in fact. Wouldn't be nearly as much fun without you. In fact, it would be singularly unfun. Ah! Barry, your hobby is to fix Land Rovers, and that's because you own a Land Rover. Yes, Barry, I think that if you're going to own a Land Rover, your hobby must by default be fixing Land Rovers. I certainly fully support that hobby if you are going to own a Land Rover. The question as to why you would want to own a Land Rover, we will not address at this stage. Right, Ribbon's Den is just in here. So I'll turn the light off as we get close, and we'll just use the infrared because we won't shine upon the den. Lots of lightning off to the south there. If it does get too close, we will pack this in, but so far it hasn't got too close. There's a bunny, terrified. And a request to wish Brooke Caldwell a happy 29th birthday. Well, Brooke, happy 29th birthday. I hope that you are enjoying your last year of being a youth or youthful. From next year it's all downhill, I'm afraid. So, you know, make the most of the next 12 months. I can't vouch for anything that's going to happen after that. You know, your joints are going to start aching. You'll probably get a little fatter than you were before. You know, and that's just what happens when you turn 30. I'm being very negative, aren't I? Happy birthday, Brooke. 29 is a good year. So's 30. So's 40, actually. That's as far as I've got. I was being sarcastic, Brooke, in case you didn't realise. Right, ribbon is there, so that's good. We're going to go to infrared now in 5, 4, 3, 2. She's feeding the cubs, I think. But only her head is visible. There she is. Hello, Ribbon. Big storm coming, my dear. What are you going to do with your babies? I can hear them. Or I can hear one of them. It's not a little head behind there, is it? No. I think it's a bit o' dirt. It's not moving, so it's probably dirt. No, it is. It's a cup. moved. I'm sure it moved. Didn't it move? Oh, I'm told it's not a cub by my good wife, so we'll go across to Lauren, who's got a shakal. What was it?
The normal jackal that hangs around here. We just left the lion because the weather is really, really turning for us right now. And I think I saw a hyena. And now we've got a jackal. Waiting for that perfect moment they can run in and scavenge from the carcass. We don't see jackals that often on Djuma. I know we've seen them a few times recently, but generally we don't see them too often. They were very common in the Masai Mara, but not as common out here in Djuma. Or in this area, at least. Can you still see him, Owen? I've completely lost visual. Can just see it, okay. The lightning is getting quite severe. So we are going to bumble just to get a little bit closer to home. We do have a really, really large antenna sticking out of our vehicle. So we're going to make our way inland to be closer to camp. And as we do that, we are going to send you back across to James, who's relatively close to camp at the den.
Who's relatively close to camp at the den tonight, no?
Here we are. I don't think it was a cub. I think it was a foot or a tail. Or perhaps a common rat that has moved in with the cubs. In fact, I think it was that foot there that we can see. That's not a cub, is it, David? Is that a foot?
I think it's just a foot.
It looks like a cub. See? It's exactly like a cub. But is in fact a foot. No, it's a foot. Maybe that's all we've seen. Maybe we've only seen a foot coming up and down. Maybe she wants to be a puppeteer. Yes, as my wife is saying, perhaps being a puppeteer is her hobby. She looks quite withdrawn. Let's go back across to Lauren, who has found another leopard. That is absolutely unbelievable. We'll just give them a quick chance to reboot the car, and then we'll be back with the leopard. Absolutely amazing. So that's Tingana, Hukamuri, Tlalamba twice, Tandy, and now quite possibly Mulwati, the leopard, in about 5 days. That's a really impressive return. So many of you now confirming that it is a Mulwati, not this. This is Ribbon the hyena, who I can find because she doesn't move. She's a bit like finding a tree where you know it's going to be. Alright, let's go back and see if her picture holds.
Everyone, I think we just had Mulwati. My goodness, and he's jumped off into Djuma. The picture froze perfectly on his face. There you have it. I don't know if we're going to be able to find him, everyone. The weather's turning. He jumped. Yes, Mulwati, everyone. I can introduce you to another character, those that are new, and those that aren't new. What a winner. We never get to see this leopard. Apparently, he's very, very skittish during the day. He's really not okay. Oh, there he is, we got him. He's really not okay with vehicles during the day, but apparently he's okay at night time. Leopards are nocturnal after all. Okay, can you get him from here on? I don't have a monitor, so I'm going to have to wait for Owen's guidance. There we go, I just had a quick look. Everyone, how exciting is this? Mulawati. He's said to be around 5-6 years old. Okay. I'm going to keep trying to follow him. I don't know how easy this is going to be, everyone, but I'm going to try. He's on Djuma. He's on the southern boundary, a little bit west. And we just really don't see this leopard. We really, really don't see him. He's not relaxed like Tingana. And we don't really know that much about him, to be perfectly honest with you. But he does seem to be quite relaxed. Okay, this is going to be very tricky, everyone. And I'm in the worst vehicle. I cannot believe what we are having today. Oh, most of you are super excited. I think that's the best view I have ever had of Mulawati's face. Oh my goodness, it gets really thick here. He was only recently named. Of course, he is named after the river Mulawati that we have here. Okay, I can't see him. Bear with me. I'm just looking for eye shine, driving incredibly slowly and just looking for any sort of eye shine that I can pick up. No, this is gonna... Okay. Nah, I'm gonna have to really bash through here. He's taken us off the road. It's pitch black, a storm's rolling in, and I cannot find him. I just need to get... Oh, scrub hair's running. Okay, I'm going to focus on searching just for the time being. And as we do that, we are going to send you back across to James.
My advice to Lauren is to just leave that cat and she'll probably find another one. I mean, it's, for her, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. She should just pull on up the road. She'll find Tingana on quarantine clearings just outside camp. You'll be pleased to know that Ribbon has not showed us her cub yet. Ooh, there's a bit of thunder. I will warn you, everybody, that if we do go off air now because of lightning or rain, that will be the end of the drive. We won't attempt to come back out. But at the moment, I think we're okay. David, are you feeling all right?
Sort of.
Not sort of.
Yeah.
You feeling a little threatened?
Yes.
Would you like to go home?
Give it some time.
Criminals General, we have one mystical animal here. His name is the Togolosh. And the Togoloshi, well, two mystical animals that I know of. There's the Togoloshi, and the Togoloshi is an animal that apparently takes on human form and visits people in their rooms. And depending on which South African culture you take the story from, he's the most outlandish thing I've heard is that he is endowed to the extent of 1 meter, which I think is quite shocking. And the Togoloshi is responsible for all sorts of things going missing and crimes being committed. He's supposed to be about 3 foot tall with, as I explained earlier, or as I insinuated earlier, quite an impressive endowment. Then the other one, of course, is the story of Uvusi, the mythical mongoose, who, and I've heard the story, many of you have heard this before, but while we wait for Lauren to find us another leopard, I'll tell it to you, to some of you who haven't heard it. The water mongoose, apparently, it's a water mongoose called Uvusi, and I've heard this from a few people from different South African cultures. He is an astonishing creature who is able to go into the chicken hawk. Is this another hyena? Yes, it is. The chicken hawk, and what he does is that in order to catch the chicken, he uses not the normal mongoose method of jumping on prey and then biting it. This is another member of the clan who's obviously welcome. What he does is he turns his backside to the chickens, and apparently is able to invert his rectum such that it looks like a ripe tomato. This then attracts the chicken, which will go up to the right tomato, and as it takes its first peck, it will invert its rectum, and in so doing, trap the chicken's head inside its bottom, and it will then abscond with the chicken in its bottom and will then consume it, presumably, afterwards. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but I have heard that from at least 2 sources, neither of whom saw it firsthand, both of whom said that it was an uncle that had seen it firsthand and told them of it. I'm not sure that the Togoloshi or uvusi are in fact real biological entities. But I thoroughly enjoy hearing the story of uvusi being told. Huh? Carol says the Togoloshi is also found in Zimbabwe. I suspect quite strongly that you find it anywhere, a version of it in most Niger-Congo cultures. So you probably find it all the way up into Central Africa, Congo, Chad, and maybe even across to Nigeria. Oh, Chris Rogue, thank you for that. And wow, because we haven't seen Comet for a while. That is Comet, according to Chris Rogue. Comet looks to be blind in that one eye. Thanks, Chris Rogue. Your skills never cease to amaze me. I suppose that blind eye is a relative. Look at the bats. That's amazing. We never get bats on screen because they fly away so fast. Wow. They must be eating the flies. I'm pretty sure they're eating the flies off the top of ribbon there. Kimberly, you say my story of uvusi is crazy. Well, that's what I said to the guys who tried to convince me that it was true. I believed them not about uvusi, the mongoose, able to invert his bottom in order to catch chickens. It's quite funny when you start to think about it, though. Of a mongoose absconding from the chicken coop. With its prey not in the usual place. I promise I didn't make that up. Ribbon and Comet don't seem particularly impressed by the story of uvusi. I remember the one man I heard it from. I still am in contact with him quite frequently, but I don't remember who I heard it from first. I remember telling this one chap who lives in Cape Town about it, and he said, yeah, my uncle has seen exactly the same thing in his chicken coop. Well, I'm afraid I don't think we're going to get any cub action here this evening. Nice to see Comet return, though. Nice to introduce Comet to all of you. And I think this lightning is starting to get a little bit close. And so we're going to do Make Like Lauren. And when I say make like Lauren, I don't mean, of course, find a leopard. I mean move gently towards home. Lauren apparently is currently stuck in a bush, so you'll probably drive with me for a little while. Lauren is looking for Mulwati the leopard. I have almost no doubt that she will find him. Absolutely astonishing form. I don't think even Tristan Dix has had form like this. Oh, Dov, if you just swing gently to the left, there's a woodland kingfisher in the tree. Just zoom a bit, I think a little bit left. Yeah, I can see it now. Left a bit, dead center now, and up. up a bit. There it is. It's that bright thing. There we go. Woodland kingfisher having a little sleep. We're not going to shine a light on him, obviously. So I'm just going to move before he flies. I don't want him to fly. Birds that see in colour struggle to land at night because obviously they have to be able to see superbly to land and grab onto a branch. So you don't want to disturb a bird that is roosting that cannot operate at night. No, Jacqueline, my job is storytelling. My hobby is finding leopards. It's lucky I enjoy my job. In fact, I enjoy my job a lot more than I enjoy my hobby right now. And who sky? Blue sky, painted sky, running sky. Mobile Sky says she feels sorry for the chickens. Mobile Sky, I don't think you need to feel sorry for the chickens. Look, I'm more than 70% convinced that no chicken has ever suffered the fate that I just described. The world over, in fact. Despite being the most numerous bird on planet Earth, I'm pretty sure that no bird has ever been captured by a mongoose able to invert its bottom and then re-invert it and abscond from the chicken coop. The chicken flapping behind. Okay, Lauren has escaped out of her bush and will now go and find you another leopard.
I am going to find my third leopard. I'm not going to lie, everyone, that was a little bit scary. We got stuck in the bush. We may have our antenna, don't tell Alex, and Owen's headphones went flying. But essentially, we're okay. We're out. We're heading back in now. We really are. If I don't find another leopard, that is. I don't know why all the leopards keep popping out my way, but Mulawati, spiderweb, is popping right out on Philemon's cut line. So we're going to go home that way and see if we can pick him up. This is only my second time seeing this leopard, everyone. And for some reason, he's supposed to be dominant and territorial, but he's nothing like Tingana. We really don't see him being as visible. In order to be a territorial male, you've got to be vocal, you've got to be visible, you've got to show people, this is my land, this is my territory. And the lightning is crazy. I'm going to race home, everyone, before it gets nasty. And I'm going to go this way. It's 6 and 2 3s, really, which way we go. And I'm going to go this way. Ah, what a drive. Male lion, Tandy, and Mulawati. I can't believe it. But we were thick in that block, this block to the side of us here, and that's where we were trapped. But luckily we made it out. Thank goodness I've got Owen with me. Owen has helped me out of the block many times in tricky situations. Okay, so I am really trying to keep, we may pop out, we may get lucky, fingers crossed. And once again, if you have enjoyed all the nonsense that we talk, all the banter that we have, all the bitterness that we feel, then of course, please do head over to wildearth.tv/support and support in any way that you can. Now, Impalas, you guys have got to be very, very careful. There's a male leopard and a storm is coming. Let's just watch these boys. They're nervous, most likely, because of course, Impalas can sense the weather. Yeah, they're disappearing. They're disappearing. A leopard could pop out of the thicket any moment on these guys. They get nervous when the weather changes because they know that their hearing's blocked or it's affected. It's windy, they can't hear. Or maybe they can hear, but the sense of direction changes. The smells, again, whatever you can smell in your nostrils, you may not be sure where it's coming from because of that wind. And of course, it's now nighttime. It's dark. Impalas always get nervous when it's dark. Mulawati boy, come and see me. Well, it appears James is doing exactly what I'm doing, unless I spot a leopard on the way, so let's head to James, who's heading for her.
Should almost certainly spot a leopard on the way. We've just come across some Impalas. There they are. Just drifting slowly closer to them in case they alarm call. Maria, Djuma, before it was a private reserve, depends how far back you go. You know, originally the entire Sabi Sands was occupied by local people, either semi-permanently or permanently. And then various businesses bought it or claimed it or got hold of the land, and that was way back in the sort of early 20th century. And some people stayed and some people didn't, and eventually they were sold off for these places once they'd been prospected for both agriculture and for mining, were sold off to private landowners and have remained private land since then, since probably, I don't know, 1926 or somewhere around there, 1930. And so Djuma was part of a collection of private farms. And that was the same for Arathusa, Simbambili, Torchwood, Buffels Hook, what's called Hoffman's, which is near here, Cheetah Plains, Chitwa. And then in the sort of mid-70s, when Mala kicked off as a, well, it was late 60s actually, 69 I think, Mala, history might be wrong, kicked off as a sort of ecotourism destination. Londolozi followed shortly thereafter, and they were obviously made very famous by John Varty and Elmon Mhlongo, who found and habituated the mother leopard and made beautiful films about those leopards. And that's a legacy that continues to this day. And those were the first two big ones in the area, and then along came the others. Sabi, I think, must have been pretty close on their heels, and then all the others in the Sabi Sands, and eventually Djuma too became an ecotourism destination. I'm not sure exactly when though. But you can still walk around here and find places where there were huts and people used to live, and the odd kind of fallow field and that sort of thing. The Lowveld itself was never permanently, much of the Lowveld until the rinderpest was never in fact permanently occupied. There was a lot of coming and going because the malaria was bad, the tsetse fly was awful, and the rinderpest put paid to the tsetse fly, and that allowed or opened the area up for permanent occupation. And so what people used to do is come in here for the winter and then go back up onto the mountains, a bit like the elephants actually, or onto the coastal plain for the summer, where they could escape the tsetse fly and the worst of the malaria. Although on the coastal plain I imagine the malaria was pretty bad too. So that's a brief history of the Lowveld. You can hear the thunder now. And a ram who thinks that this is a good time to set up a territory. It isn't. If you want to get eaten, making a noise like that on a night like this is inviting trouble, because the predators will be out and they know that sound means those males are not paying attention. Okay, that's it. Let's get it, David. It's getting a little too hectic for me. Right, I don't know where Lauren is, but she's probably pretty close to us. Let's go over to her.
I'm not as close as I wanted to be. We spotted another leopard. I imagine it was Milwaukee. We got him, we had him, and we had no signal. Good luck, Impala. I can't stop because, well, I gotta get home. Stay safe, my friends. We had him. He popped out. I know exactly where he went. That gives promise for tomorrow. If Milwaukee hunts, that's exactly what we need. What we want is to spend time with him while he's on a kill. So, for example, if he kills and he hoists it up a tree, we can, of course, just approach very slowly, just get him used to the sound of vehicles, voices, smells. and spend time with them. That's exactly what we need in order to slowly habituate this male. For two reasons. Of course, the selfish reason, we want to spend time with them. We want to meet them, we want to get to know them, we want to show all of you Mulawati. But another reason that we must bear in mind is that if an animal is not habituated and they're reacting quite severely every time they see a vehicle and they're skittish and got eyes here. Hyena. Hello. Hello. Who are you? You look skinny. You're not ribbon. You got him on? Yeah. Okay. It's behind the bush. I can't see anything. Oh, there we go. I don't know who this is, everyone. I've not got a monitor. You are welcome to help me. Oh, the thunder's rumbling. Okay, everyone. I think we will probably need to power down because it's getting too severe out here. And I need to race home for safety, I'm afraid. So thank you everyone for jumping on board this absolutely crazy but yet incredible drive. It's been a pleasure. So here, WildEarth, race home. We want to thank you.